has 2 Thought Scour, 3 Gut Shot, only 3 mana leaks, and is running 2 swords.
Gerry's list is pretty good. 3 mana leaks. Nice thing to have. It helps you kind of feel like you're pre-boarded in the Delver Mirror.
Right, and so it's very good in the Delver Mirror. Against Frights, I'm actually thinking that some of these changes, this is pretty bad.
I think having more gut shots is more important for Gerry in a good way than having less mana leaks is important for Brian.
So what Gerry's going to have to do is cards like Restoration Angel will not shine as much in this matchup. Because Brian's reanimation spells happen to be, in an ideal world, will be a horde of Sun Titans. Sometimes Delver could get into this matchup where they get the Frights player down to about 10, could then Vapor Snag their way to victory. Gerry's not really going to have that available to him if Brian has a Sun Titan draw. He's going to have to win on the aggro plan. So Brian on the play goes with Forest, Gerry Seachrome Coast, then Brian will mulch turn 2.
Ooh, double forest, not the best for Brian because those lands both normally come into play untapped, and normally you want to be playing your fast lands on the first few turns.
And there's a Shimmering Grotto there too, which Brian's playing 4 of. And he'll have
going to be pretty helpful for him here.
Gerry representing Mana Leak here. Almost certainly, most Delver keeps would involve a turn 1 Ponder or Delver. If they don't have a Ponder or a Delver in them, they almost certainly have a Mana Leak.
Yeah, so Brian's Faithless Looting gets Mana Leaked.
And there we go. Yep, Geist of St. Traft. Gerry's mana base being ideal. It's probably 1 more land haunch, short of being everything he needs for the rest of the game. Remember, Delver, usually most lands past the 5th are complete blanks.
Yeah, that's one major problem when you're playing Delver. So Brian has the Lingering Souls here, and
now ideally these souls would trade with Geist. They probably don't do that, as Gerry will threaten something like a Gut Shot or a Vapor Snag. But because Brian can flash back Lingering Souls, he may not care.
Yeah, he might just go for the double block anyway and force Gerry to use a card to deal with 1/2 Lingering Souls.
Gerry also has another Geist of St. Traft, so he may just push in the 4 damage, trade, and then play the second one. Instead, he's just going to go straight for Sword of War and Peace. Probably because he doesn't have I don't believe he has a 5th land to come into play untapped to equip a second Geist next turn.
Now, Brian with a few options this turn. Could flash back the Lingering Souls. Ooh, alright.
It's going to Unburial Rites Phantasmal Image, which will take care of this Geist and the next Geist, which is in Gerry's hand.
Pretty good.
Very good. Sword of War and Peace is a little bit of a threat here, though. Because of how Brian has mixed up his finishers, all his finishers are white cards. So they won't be able to block, but, Elishnorn will still manage to kill most of Gerry's cards. If Gerry can hook up... If Gerry's representing an end-of-turn Restoration Angel, if Gerry does have that, that could become a problem for Brian here.
Yeah, it could be a pretty big problem for him, too. Now, Brian does have a main deck Ancient Grudge, which could be really helpful here. Post-board, he also gets another one. So, Brian, mana problems, going to not be able to cast this Sun Titan in his hand.
With only these Forest, Blackleaf Cliffs, and 2 Shimmering Grottos. Yeah, so we'll have to get to 8 mana to cast a Sun Titan. Gerry will snap a leak. Very strong plays. That's going to get an equip too.
Yeah, that's huge for Gerry.
Frights has a very ambitious mana base, and sometimes that mana base can hurt it. And so we see another land, but still no white sources, so Sun Titan's being stranded in Brian's hand. Brian is emptying his own hand, though, to try to lessen the impact of a Sword of War and Peace.
Yeah, so going to take 6 here.
6, and Gerry, the bigger issue is that Gerry will gaining, I believe, 4 off this, which really means Brian's going to have to assemble. He's going to have to assemble Sun Titan somehow to win this.
Yeah, pretty quickly too.
Yeah. Ponder from Gerry reveals 2.
The other option that Brian has next turn is that he can Unburial Rites his Phantasmal Image, copy Snapcaster Mage, and then Snapcaster the Mulch.
Right. So if he's looking just for more lands, yeah, that's actually a pretty decent play. What the scarier part of that play is that it will make the Sun Titan vulnerable to another mana leak. But I think at this point Brian needs to be digging deeper, and we'll probably see that play or something similar to it. It also gives him a blocker for the Snapcaster.
Exactly,
Mage.
it's a blue creature.
Right.
So.
Right, Gerry's choosing to shuffle off the Ponder. He'd seen Thought Scour land, I believe, so he's opting to shuffle off that.
It's reasonable. At times you could keep the 2 Thought Scours on top, draw the 1 Thought Scour.
It's really not much one way or the other. The deck is the top of the deck with a Thought Scour is pretty much nothing anyway. And he'll make a Geist of Saint, his second Geist of Saint draft.
Yeah, now it's unlikely that Brian's going to make the Unburial Rate Snapcaster play because he's under such pressure on the board. He really needs to do something like Elish Norn right now. Otherwise, he's probably going to be losing this game.
Yeah, the problem is Gerry's threatening an awful lot of damage. Brian's creatures really can't block effectively. Geist, Gerry will happily probably trade Geist for 4 damage at this point because he wants to ensure that he has a 2-turn clock. And as long as Brian can't answer the Sword of War and Peace, Gerry does have a 2-turn clock right now.
Yeah, so Gerry can also suit up the Geist with the sword next turn. Going to be a huge problem for Brian dealing with that. He's going to have to Unburial Rites.
3rd Shimmering Grotto for Brian.
Not the best mana for Brian this game.
Plenty of lands, just spells are very ambitious. Tip he Unburial Rites is the image, and then swings for 2. And then he'll flashback Lingering Souls, though they are still white cards. Snapcaster will swing for 6 again. So
another 6?
It does give Brian 2 more turns at this pace. He's in a Restoration Angel, up a Ponder. And he points out that Gerry cannot make that play. Snapcaster gives Pro White, and Restoration Angel is a targeted ability. It's a little bit of a gotcha there on for Gerry. But so I mean, it turns out he probably would have end stepped the Angel anyway. So this time he just has to main phase it.
All right, so
he'll go ahead and move the sword over to the Angel. Play land, pass the turn. Brian's gonna have to make sure he empties his hand, like that he has to make sure he casts one of his cards here, otherwise this Angel is lethal. Shouldn't be a problem, but the bigger worry is if Gerry has a card like Vapor Snag, Brian's probably dead on the next swing.
It's gonna be really hard for Brian to win through a single Vapor Snag at this point.
Yes. But the bigger problem is that Brian's deck is fairly, like, Sword on Angel, Brian's actually just in his deck has very few answers to Sword on Angel.
Yeah, he really needs the Ancient Grudge. And,
yeah,
I mean, his deck's really good at digging through
Brian
40 cards.
He could resolve an Elish Norn here, and he'd probably be able to race with an Elish Norn here.
Yeah.
Maybe. But I'm not even sure if he had an Elish Norn in play right now, if that would be enough. Yeah, I don't actually believe it. Oh, it's very close.
It's pretty close. It's also pretty draw dependent.
So he finally has the mana for the Sun Titan at a discount of 8. He can make the Sun Titan into another Sun Titan. And no target for the image. The army of 6/6s, and he's going to go ahead and pass the turn then. Or is he's debating if he wants to swing here. He can push in 3 damage. Still not enough. The life gain off Sword of War and Peace has really put Gerry out of range.
Yeah, now it's just really rough. I think the Phantasmal Image will have to copy the Restoration Angel.
Yeah, so I'm not sure which one it's copying. It doesn't really matter which one it's copying, I don't think, because the problem is they're all white creatures, unless he's copying Snapcaster Mage. But nothing. It's hard to copy anything that would block the Sorted Up Angel. Sorted Up Angel. And the image is on Sun Titan right now, which is probably the best because it's just there isn't a good choice for it.
It's just the biggest thing.
Right. This time Gerry will Angel the Snapcaster Mage for Ponder.
And a Vapor Snag in hand, he wins.
Yeah. Well, it will get him, so yeah, Vapor Snag the Sun Titan, puts him at 7, swings for 7. Alright, first game goes to Gerry Thompson. Both these two players, Braun-Duin, looking to be going 8-0 in the standard portion of the Invitational, and looking to be take sole possession of the lead for the tournament. Both of these are the remaining players at X1.
Yeah, now Brian down a game, playing against what he believes to be one of his better matchups.
Well, Delver's a very tricky deck. It's
yeah, I mean, also he drew Forest, Shimmering Grotto. I think that may have something to do with it too. But he also never saw despite going through like 15 cards, didn't find the Elish Norn. Right. Off the top, things like that. But there's no doubting that Gerry Thompson is one of the better Delver players in the room today.
Right. Gerry,
just an incredible player. Something about Gerry is that Gerry can play any style of deck to a very, very high level of skill. He is somebody who's just constantly impressing me. He's played since before I've played competitively, which is
before both of us,
pretty long time. He's a dinosaur, and he's just always been so good and just always getting better because he keeps playing so much.
Right.
Now,
so
Gerry top 20'd the Pro Tour Dark Ascension, I believe, maybe 22nd. He was up there.
Yep, he was in the top 25 of Pro Tour Dark Ascension. Yeah, and got back to gold and is now on the train again.
Gerry has, I think, fallen off the train and gotten back on the train more than anybody else.
Can't verify that, but that certainly seems possible. The best part is he seems to get back on the train at will, which is something I think a lot of us would be pretty envious of.
It's pretty incredible.
Yeah.
I tried once to get back on the train.
It's harder now than when you got on the first time. It wasn't easy then either.
Then I just magically got on the train. I got I got a magic ticket out of the chocolate bar.
Just open one to get a golden ticket.
Yeah, I got a golden ticket.
Train.
I got 20 pro points all in one shot.
Whoa! That is, for those of you at home wondering, the easiest way to get on the train is to win a PTQ and then win the PT.
Yeah, if you just win the Pro Tour.
If you just win the Pro Tour,
then you're on the train.
You are. Is really probably the easiest way to get onto the train.
Definitely the easiest way to get on the train.
All right. So looking at our top 8 players right now in our standings, actually we have at X2 or better we have only 8 players. So we have right now tied for first Gerry Thompson and Brian Braun-Duin. At X11 we have Michael Hetrick. He's playing against Adam Kai, who's at X2. Our other players, we have Lauren Nolan, who's playing this round against Matt Costa, who's our other undefeated player in Standard. And the last two are Kyle McDaniel and Adam Boyd. Shaheen Sarani, after getting his first loss, has taken a second loss and currently has dropped into 9th place.
So that opponent match win percentage, it's pretty high.
Yeah, for Shaheen has the best breakers in the tournament. So for what that'll do is if he does poorly right now, it'll set up some very hard math for people who want to try to draw into top 8, because there'll be this player lurking outside the top 8 with amazing breakers, which will probably make a lot of people play.
So he'll be that guy.
He'll be that guy. Yeah. Yeah, our top 8 should start to take form, probably starting in Legacy.
Yeah, in a round or two, we'll start to have a top 8.
Yeah.
I'm excited to see a lot of these players make it. How is Jim Davis today?
Jim Davis is at 28th. Yeah, where X2s go down through 20, or X3s go down through 27th. Those are probably all the players that we're sure are live for top 8. Some of the players at X11, we have Jim Davis, Ben Weinberg, and Kit Holland, maybe in contention for top 8 still. Adam Prozac and Evan Wagstaff maybe as well.
Michael Jacob lingering around the top.
Yeah,
standings.
Some good,
24 points.
Plenty of strong names in the X3 bracket. We have Michael Jacob, Alian Trazi, Sam Black, Christian Valenti, Todd Anderson, David Scharfman, Brandon Nelson, all still in contention.
Even Adam Boyd, winner of multiple Star City Games Open events.
All right, game 2. Brian's going to go to 6.
Ryan mulliganing here.
So there is a sideboard plan off Brian where you side into swords and creatures. Is that for this matchup?
No. Against Blue White Delver, you have a 1-card sideboard,
which is the Ancient Grudge.
It actually may have become a 2-card sideboard, and you might bring in the Phantasmal Image now also.
Okay.
I think you do bring in the Phantasmal Image.
That makes sense.
Because we had 4 Phantasmal Image when our sideboard was a 1-card sideboard.
Sure.
So I imagine we can just make the deck into that. So I think he'd probably be cutting a Gavany Township or a Blackleaf Cliffs and or he might just cut two Tracker's Instincts and bring in an Image and an Ancient Grudge.
From Gerry, I would expect to see him bring in a Surgical Extraction and probably 2 Dissipates in this matchup.
Gerry's playing a Surgical Extraction?
He has a Surgical Extraction in his board.
That's so brutal, because he tested with them.
Yeah, he has a surgical extraction and 2 dissipates. And dissipate also seems pretty good since Brian's double casting a lot of his spells, and a lot of his spells are very high impact. I think the extra hard counter would be pretty decent here.
It's very funny. Gerry has surgical.
Usually does not have a surgical.
There's no way. Usually it's surgical. Alright, so this game has begun. Brian, starting things off with a Faithless Looting. He's discarded another Faithless Looting and a Forest. Delver of Secrets from Gerry, followed by another Glacial Fortress. Those lands do come into play tapped, but no biggie.
Time locks himself a little bit here. It's always disappointing when your lands come into play tapped. Possibly Gerry has a turn 3 Geist of Saint Draft or something similar, which is why he's playing them this way. I doubt he would have kept a hand with just 2 Glacial Fortresses. Gerry draws his card, Delver does not flip, and Brian has made 2 Lingering Souls tokens. Alright, so it wasn't Geist, but it was Sword of War and Peace, which is made by Gerry.
Sword of War and Peace, pretty good one.
It's an excellent card. It's one of, I think, the most important cards in Gerry's deck in this matchup. So the question is can Brian find an Ancient Grudge? He presumably has 2 of them now instead of just 1.
Yes.
And I don't think he has it, and he's digging for it. He's leaving open the green mana, the forest, just in case he finds an Ancient Grudge here and can discard it.
Seems to make sense. Brian does have an Elish Norn in the yard, if he so chooses to, after flashing back this Faithless Looting. May have to go into a racing mode a little earlier than expected here.
But you
an absence
can't really race a Sword of War and Peace at this point. I think he's got to find the Ancient Grudge. Gerry will be gaining 6 life per swing off this sword. It seems really unlikely that he'd be able to actually race.
That's true. So he does need to find the Grudge at some point.
Yeah, he does have 2 of them.
Gerry, not revealing the Delver.
Sometimes Delver is just a 1/1.
So, Sword of War and Peace may get equipped here.
Yep. Brian can hope to chain enough green creatures that he'll get a couple blocks if he wants to on the sword until he's able to find the Ancient Grudge. But like I said, it's still if Gerry right now has a Dissipate in his hand, I think it's going to be very hard for Brian to win this game.
Definitely true. And I mean, if Gerry passes without equipping the sword, we can be pretty sure that he has a Mana Leak or Dissipate.
Yeah. Well, he does have a 4th land, so probably that would be a tell on Dissipate.
Dissipate.
I'm going to drop Hero of Bladehold, happily trading away his Delver there.
Hero quite good here.
Yeah, I mean, he's going to have to find the Ancient Grudge. Well, now it doesn't even necessarily need the Ancient Grudge.
Well, the
Ancient Grudge doesn't help as much because, he doesn't have a way to reanimate the Elish Norn either. Hero
he doesn't have the Unburial Rites in hand?
Does he have an Unburial Rites in hand? Okay, the Cavern is naming Human, though. Yeah, Cavern naming Human. Yeah, Gerry's attacking on 2 fronts now. Brian needs to answer the sword, but he also just needs to answer straight out the hero. Brian drawing, he's going to hit 2 lands off that. He does have, I think, a Phantasmal Image.
Looks like it.
Which is a fine card, but not exactly enough right here.
Not what he's looking for right now. Not at all.
If he can answer the sword, the image will be very helpful, because then that answers the hero. Well, temporarily. Presumably, Gerry, I can't imagine has cut his gut shots or Vapor Snags, so
seems very unlikely.
Imaging the hero, while a Valiant plan, I'm not sure it actually works that well. So Brian plays out the rest of his hand. Yeah, Gerry has a gut shot right there.
Oh, so yeah.
The hero will not be battle crying the rest of Brian's team.
Gerry gets the best snuff out ever.
Yes. Yeah, colorless, no color restriction.
Alright, so it's Cavern of Souls naming Human. Will probably suit up this sword. So a Vapor Snag. Going to hit that. Surprised he didn't use the gut shot there. Vapor Snag will not deal his opponent a point. Doesn't really matter because this clock is very fast.
Yeah, my guess is that the reason is that Gerry's wants to be mana efficient and he doesn't have another play he prefers this turn. So since Gutshot and Vapor Snag will essentially do the same thing, he's just going to use the Vapor Snag here. Also, what might tell me is that he might have a second Vapor Snag as well. He's going to Gutshot the birds and Ponder. Or no, and play Delver. Yeah, you would have Pondered first. One of the classic strategy things with Delver is usually casting, if you're going to cast Ponder in a turn, it's usually the first thing you do in a turn, even before making a land drop.
Very true. I mean, you get more information, therefore you can make your plays.
It's one of the classic mistakes I see people on turn 2 of a Delver game make their land drop and then cast Ponder, and you say, I think like, oh, that's probably the wrong order of doing that.
Probably. I've made that mistake. I think we all have.
Sure.
Card manipulation spells have always been like that.
A lot
of the time you see people impulse after they play land, things like that, in the olden days. Now it's all about pondering. Alright, so Brian, looking for an answer still?
Hasn't found one. He's emptying his hand to try to give himself another turn. I don't even know if he has that turn right now, though. Especially when Gerry can Gutshot this image. No, he used the Gutshot. My apologies.
But he can find Ponder, so he can find some way to deal with it.
I don't think there's a way in there to kill the
I think
fake
he's
hero.
Probably shuffling.
Sure. It has 2 lands in it, which is really not what he wants. All right. Well, he's going to keep it because I think that just kills Brian. Yeah, swing putting 2 more creatures into play. That's the match. Gerry Thompson, now your current leader at Star City Invitational. He is 11-1 after 12 rounds of play with 4 rounds to go. Gerry, already a previous Invitational winner, looking very much like he's on his way to top 8ing another one.
Yeah, top 8'd multiple Invitationals, won one of them.
Very good.
Very well on his way.
Yeah.